Alright, John, I'm not going to be at the house when you get out of work, so I'm just going to go ahead and record this and email it to you. So, semolina flour, I'm not measuring, you just want some AP flour in there. So I'll do about yay much semolina, and then, I don't know if you can see that, probably about a third of a cup of regular flour. I'm not even going to use all of it, probably a quarter cup for that much. Alright, salt. 2.5 decent sized pinches there. Olive oil. Tablespoon. Water. And let's see here. I'm just gonna, you'll be doing this in your KitchenAid, of course, which will make it a little easier, because then you can just trickle in the water until the dough becomes the consistency you want it to be. So it's starting to clump together, but it's not sticking to itself yet, so we need a little more water. Alright, it's starting to feel like a dough now. Now it's easier to work in a little extra semolina if you make it too wet than it is to add more water if you make it too dry. So I would err on the side of making it too wet. Now you can see yeah, it's kind of sticky. It's a little too wet. So I'm going to make a mess of my counter here and just work a little more semolina into it. Alright, that's starting to feel less sticky. Alright, now that feels like a pasta dough that is pretty easy to work with. Now it does need to rest for about, I'd say at the very least 30 minutes. I've gone as few as no rest at all, but it's just a lot harder to work with when it hasn't rested. Alright, so you can get an idea of the texture now. So you don't hear that suction from my finger leaving the dough because it's not that wet, but it's still very soft and malleable. You can see it's got a little bit of elasticity to it. And that's basically it. From this point, if you've got a bigger chunk than this, what I like to do is press it into a flat rectangular shape. And take a knife, just cut it in half. That way you're that much closer to the thickness you need to get it through your pasta sheeter. And then my rolling pin is at work and my pasta machine's at work, but from here you pretty much get it. Just roll this out till it's approximate thickness of your first setting on your sheeter. That way you're not stressing the gears on the sheeter too much, and then just go from there. And I also like to keep when I'm doing filled pastas, I'll keep a spray bottle of water nearby, because once this dough gets stretched out and it's in a thin sheet, it's going to have a tendency to dry very quickly unless you cover it with a damp cloth or you mist it with some water. I like the water misting method best because the damp towel can sometimes stick to the dough or make it too wet. But then once your dough is slightly moistened on your bottom layer, then you can just lay the top layer, put your filling down, then lay the top layer over that, and then just press out around your filling, press all the air bubbles out, and then use one of those zigzag cutters, pasta pastry cutter, to cut off squares, or you can take a sturdy, well, I don't have a sturdy glass right here. Oh, here we go. You could take a sturdy glass and you can punch out your circles if you want to do circle raviolis. And if it has a wider rim to it, that's actually going to help you because that forces the two layers of the dough together. If you use something sharper to cut it with, you'd be cutting the dough. This way you're literally forcing it together to smush it, to smush the two layers together. That way they won't break open when you cook them. And as far as thickness goes, I'd say like, I'm trying to think of a standard thing that you would have around. Kind of like cardboard paper, like you'd find on the back of a legal pad maybe. I mean, you don't want to go too thin. And if you go too thick, it'll be chewy. But I would err on the side of going a little thicker than going a little thinner. It's just a lot more forgiving that way. And fresh pasta, you know, it's really good even if it is thick. I mean, think of cavatelli. So, anyway, there you go. I hope that was helpful, John. We all miss you. Look forward to seeing you soon. Alright, bye.